Thank you. King of Games. I had I had an idea for a video for my Naruto spoof, which is it's Neji. Is it Neji that's the brother of Hinata?
Yeah.
And there's that scene where he beats the crap out of Hinata during the Chunin exams.
Yeah.
And it's really, really messed up and violent and dark. And I wanted to just be that. I wanted to be like a series of just really violent, dark scenes of him beating the crap out of Hinata, and then at the end he just says, "It's actually about integrity in game journalism." Thank you. Walter.
How was it collaborating with Team 4-Star on Dragon Ball Z Abridged?
How was it collaborating with Team 4-Star and Dragon Ball Z Abridged? It's a pleasure. It's like I could have an entire panel about how great those guys are. Kaizen Echo is the best director I've ever worked with, including some professional directors. He goes out of his way to make sure you're comfortable with the role and that you know what you're doing and that he's getting what he wants and that you're getting what you want. Lani and Taka, two of the nicest people. Team 4-Star as a whole are the most giving, collaborators, creative collaborators that I know. They will go out their way for people and make sure that everyone's happy, and they take their time with the work, but they do it because they're so passionate about it and they want to make sure that the product is as perfect as they can make it. And they were the groomsmen at my wedding, which was a huge honor. So yeah, I love those guys. I would go out as far as to say I consider them brothers. They're really fantastic. It was funny. We actually had a stack party before the wedding, and we all went and got lap dances together. So there was all of the Team 4-Star and Little Kuriboh getting lap dances, and we didn't realize that we were being charged for them. We thought we'd already paid the entrance fee, and so we were all getting lap dances. And then Lani is really frustrated, and I'm noticing what's going on. And then Masako rushes over and goes, "Guys, I owe $100 to a stripper." It was amazing. It was Goku owing $100 to a stripper. You can imagine that happening in an episode of TV. Over there. I thought stripping was food. Sorry.
Do you ever go to places when you order fast food stuff? Do you ever use voices and do people recognize it and they flip out?
I've never had anybody in public recognize a voice and play along with it, but I have ordered fast food as Frieza one time. It's not much of a story. I was coming back from a convention and the staff were driving me, and I was like, "Do you mind if we drive through because I need to eat before I get on the plane?" And we stopped at the window, and I leaned over and I realized, this was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and so I was like, "Hello there. I'd like to order a medium number 5 with cheese and fries and make it snappy. Have it ready in about exactly 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Filthy monkey." And they were like, "Hello?" It was funny to me. Please go.
Can you talk about what it was like working on Tome as Nylock?
Absolutely. No, Nylock is honestly one of the closest characters to my heart. For those of you who haven't seen it, there's this web series called The Terrain of Magical Expertise, or Tome for short, and it's essentially it's Kuriboh's creation. It's based on an old series he made called TV Tome Adventures, and I play this character. It's about these guys who are playing a video game that's an MMO. It's like Sword Art Online or what else is there? Dot Hack, exactly. And I play this very hardcore role player who's very into the game. And he's always like, "No dragon of besting valiant victims," and so he basically comes up with these catchphrases, and he's very over the top. But Kurd cast me as that character, and when I saw him and when I read the first few scripts, I was like, "Oh, he's the comic relief. I get it. He just cast me because he knows I'm a funny guy, and he thought I'd be good at this silly, I didn't think he would be a very important character. But around the time episode 6 rolls along, Nylock really comes into his own. There's a scene where he's sitting on a bench and he's talking to one of the other characters, Game Crazed, and he breaks character for the first time in the series, and he has a very emotional conversation about how he feels and he needs to be for his friends, and Game Crazed has a similar a conversation where he's like, "Well, you feel you need to be this good foundation for your friends and support them." And performing that scene was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do as an actor, because Curb told me, just be you. And I don't know how many of you have done much acting, but when someone tells you to just be you, you suddenly realize, oh my god, how do I do that? So Nylock, that scene in particular is one of my favorites because it was one of my biggest challenges as an actor, but it was also difficult for me on an emotional level because I realized while reading the dialogue that Curb was writing about me, and Game Crazed was him telling me how he feels I try to be for my friends, and it was one of those really mind-blowing, out-of-body experiences. And the fact that a character like Nylock, who I respect and admire, is even in Curb's mind comparable to me is a huge honor. It's mind-blowing. But I do recommend the show. It's one of my favorite things, one of my favorite projects to work on. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a real treat. I've recorded the season 2 dialogue, and Nylock, depending on where Curb goes with it, because I did 2 alternate takes of one of his final lines of the season, Nylock might break character again. So keep your eyes peeled. Dave.
Where did you get the idea for Married Plays?
Where did I get the idea for Married Plays? Have you seen any Let's Play in the last 5 years? I mean, Marek is one of my favorite characters to voice, as I said. And Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is one of my favorite games. It's a really buggy game, but like the story holds up really well, and the characters are great, the dialogue is great. And I feel that it was overlooked when it first came out because of that, because of the bugs. And so I've been playing this Let's Play of Marek Plays Bloodlines, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I keep saying that these are my favorite things ever, but I just like a lot of things. But Marek Plays was like, I actually, specifically, Freeman's Mind was an inspiration. I don't know how many of you have watched the Let's Play of Half-Life, where the guy's doing commentary as if he's actually Gordon Freeman thinking to himself. But I was very much inspired by that. Or you could say I ripped it off, I don't know. But Marek Plays is, it's really fun, and there's 15 parts online right now. And I just got out of Santa Monica, so it's very exciting. Somebody came by the booth the other day and told me that there's a billboard that just says friggin' chicken in the next part of the game. And I'm just imagining what Marek will say when he sees that. I'm going to spend the entire video just being like, ah, friggin' chicken. Right, a quarter. Get me some friggin' chicken. Ow. All the way over there, on the far end. Yes.
What is your favorite episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge series?
They're all terrible. No. I'm very proud of episode 45. I'm actually proud of a lot of the recent ones. Like, a lot of the Battle City finals, I feel, have been really, like, high quality, like, some of my best writing. But episode 45 will always have a special place in my heart because I can watch that video without thinking that it's me voicing these characters. There's young Marek, and there's Ishizu, and there's Marek's dad, and there's Yugi, and all these different characters. And the way, I don't know if it's pretentious of me to say it, but the way I'm voicing them, I can barely tell that it's me. And I feel like that's the greatest accomplishment as a voice actor, if you manage to fool yourself. But I think it's hilarious because you have, first of all, Marek on his own is pretty hilarious, but when you take Marek and you make him a 5-year-old boy or whatever he is, he just becomes even funnier. I've always said Marek is like my inner child, but in that episode he really is like a child, and he's like, friggin' wags Ishizu! Like our shiny box, I must worship it! So yeah, that episode is great because it's a really dark story because it's the story of Marek's tortured past and how he murdered his father in cold blood, but I made it hilarious. So I'm very proud of that.
I was wondering how often you read fan fiction that's been written because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge,
Oh.
and if you have a favorite.
How often do I read fan fiction that's been written because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge? Not too often, because I just don't have the time, but I have read a bunch of Abridged-inspired fan fiction. I think the one that I read last night was probably inspired by Abridged. At least I hope it was, because if that was supposed to be canon, I don't know what show they were watching. But,
Can we just not talk about that fan
let's
fiction?
not talk about it.
Let's not do it.
You left way too early. If you go to
No, there was no such thing as better with all that.
Yeah, you can find a lot of very descriptive fan fiction on that.
Oh God.
What's that?
Well, very descriptive fanfiction
Descriptive.
called Lemon.
Lemons, yes, that's...
Oh.
If you want lemonade, you gotta... Wait. When life gives you lemons... Easy squeezy lemon peasy. Easy squeezy lemon peasy. What? We're messing up all kinds of quotes.
A little bit less detailed ones are called lines.
The less detailed ones are called lines. I thought lines were me. The regular cute little stories are called fluff. So can you have fluffy lemons? Is that what we can have? I want to write a story called Fluffy Lemons. That's my cover back. That's the cover back. Fluffy Lemons. Right there.
I want to know, when you were recording Frieza's voice for DVD, what did you think, looking back, what do you think your favorite line was that you had to say?
Oh, my favorite line is definitely, when you see Vegeta, tell him I said, like a bitch.
I really want, if they do abridge the new movie that they just announced with Frieza's Resurrection, I wanted to show up and be like, it's okay, I told him myself. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing Frieza. It was a huge honor, and the fact that people even still come to me and say, you're one of my favorite Frieza voices ever, is like an honor, because like that's a parody, but people really enjoyed that interpretation of the character. I think it's because just that people are so used to the Linda Young interpretation, and while Linda Young's Frieza was, it was a good performance, it wasn't what people wanted from that character, I don't think. So it was cool to see like something that was, while funny, more true to the original interpretation of the character.